need not be friends to fight together for Earth.
That flies in the face of literally every other tokusatsu show I've ever seen.
Tattooed Teenage Alien Fighters from Beverly Hills.
No, I did not make an extended episode title like I normally do, but that's only because this show's name is so long that it's ridiculous enough all on its own. But let's pull things back a bit here. Hello and welcome to Earth Alien ProtoMet. With the success of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, there were a number of imitators hoping to cash in on the surprise hit by imitating them. One of the companies to try it was Deke Entertainment, which created Tattooed Teenage Alien Fighters from Beverly Hills. Does this show manage to steal some of Power Rangers' glory? Or does it stumble on the first hurdle? Spoiler alert, it's the latter.
The evil warlord Emperor Gorganis seeks to control the power portal so he can conquer the universe. His biggest obstacle is the protoplasmic sentient blob Nimbar, the chief guardian of the power portals, who employs local lifeforms to battle to protect the portals as galactic sentinels. Now Gorganis has set his sights on planet Earth, which is a major hub of power portal activity. In response, Nimbar summons and drafts a group of 4 Beverly Hills teenagers to battle Gorganis' monsters as Tattooed Teenage Alien Fighters from Beverly Hills.
I know that technically they're called Galactic Sentinels, and I'll keep using that term for the remainder of this video. But I had to incorporate the show's title somehow. Also, it's pretty clear that this is heavily inspired by Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And by inspired, I mean legally distinct, but basically the same show.
There's one major distinction, though, one that the show is keen to remind the audience at literally every opportunity. The teens, who all come from different social classes, are not friends. There's Gordon, the preppy son of the mayor of Beverly Hills, Lori, the head cheerleader and social butterfly, Swinton, the genius nerd, and Drew, the disillusioned teen who works at a coffee shop, none of whom are friends.
They're the kids I always see you with.
Yeah, kinda hard to buy the whole we're not friends angle when the budget for the show doesn't allow for more than a handful of recurring characters, all of whom are adult relatives, not other friends. Speaking of budget, the general lack of sets is endemic of this dollar store Power Rangers ripoff. Aside from fighting locations, there are only a small handful of sets used for the show. The Friends-esque coffee shop, the hallway of the school, Drew's aunt's back patio, Nimbar's chamber, and Gorganis' throne room. Another symptom of the low budget? There are only a few monsters. Whereas other tokusatsu shows generally have a new monster each week, Gorganis' monsters keep coming back multiple times throughout the show's run of 40 episodes. Admittedly, this does mean that the writers have to keep coming up with new strategies for the monsters to use, and for the Galactic Sentinels to figure out how to deal with. But they are the only thing that the Galactic Sentinels fight. There are no grunts, so it's always a 4-on-1 fight, and even then the Sentinels need to power up to win. They can combine their powers to form a powerful Knight Nitron. And despite Nimbar claiming that Nitron's power is finite, the Sentinels almost always form him to win their fights, so whatever. Which brings us to how Nimbar recruited the Galactic Sentinels, or rather, how he conscripted a group of teens to fight his war against Gorganis for him. And he does this by giving them flashing tattoos, which aren't really tattoos, so that part of the show's title is wrong. He never asks them if they want the power and responsibility, just forces the power on them and expects them to follow his orders in a timely fashion. There is an episode that addresses this when one of Nimbar's old Galactic Sentinels, whose team was killed in battle, shows up, upset that Nimbar is still using naive locals to fight his war for him. While this is a pretty good episode, it's an oasis in a desert of an otherwise bad show. Gorganis is a villain simply for the sake of there being a villain, and the bulk of the story of most episodes focuses on whatever life lesson the teens are supposed to be learning that week. While the show has some elements that help it to stand out, it's bogged down by writing that can't quite figure out if the show is intended for an older audience like teens, or if it's intended for young children.
There are a couple episodes that I feel best exemplify this. Episode 13, Trust, and episode 28, Turncoat. Both of which seem like they're going to be having more mature plots, but which end up wussing out and change the message midstream to talk down to kids.
Oh, and before I forget, Gorganis' main lackey, Lechner, is voiced by David Lander, who played Squiggy on Laverne and Shirley. Didn't know where else to put this information in the video, so here it is right at the end. Also, one episode had a very brief cameo from Zsa Zsa Gabor. Much like this information, it comes at the end of an episode and has no other relevance.
Bad writing, very low budget, and characters that are at least consistent in spite of the other issues. I find it hard to recommend tattooed teenage alien fighters from Beverly Hills to watch. I will, however, admit that it is an interesting curiosity, so maybe check it out to see just how far some people are willing to go to piggyback off the success of another. Until next time, I'm ProtoMet. See ya!